just so you know, my name's Beans because my real name's Vince, but I have a lot of Latino friends, and they go, Beans, Beans, how you doing, Beans? And when I go into a bar, you know, if I introduce myself to the bartender, they're Vince. I say, I'm Vince, and whatever. But if I say I'm Beans, I can walk in like a year later, and they're like, oh, Beans! Oh, they already know my drink. So, Beans. Anyway, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm going to talk about when I was in high school playing soccer. And I was a soccer player my whole life. I love soccer. And then I got into high school, West Orange High School. And our soccer coach, they didn't have a proper soccer coach. So they picked Coach Abatello from the football team to be our coach. Now, if you know anything about American football and British football, they are not the same. And our coach decided that he was going to train us the way he trained the football team. And this involved drills that basically injured us. One of his big drills he would get the soccer ball, he'd make us line up at the 50-yard line, and then he'd kick the ball as high as he could, and he'd say, hit it! And you, boom! And concussion, basically, which they were used to on the football team, you know, but for us, crushing headaches. His other thing was lots and lots of running. Lots of running. And of course, in soccer, you want to be a good runner, you need that stamina, but it was every day. So doing stadiums up and down for like a half hour, doing trains where you're running a line and the guy in the back has to sprint to the front as you're all jogging around. And one of the worst things that I hated was the 3-mile run. And this is before you even practice it. He's like, okay, you're gonna do the 3-mile run. And basically where our school was, you come out and it was like a big square, right? You'd run like a mile and mile, about 3 miles. So we start running as a team. Of course, we have the forwards, they sprint on ahead. I played defense. I wasn't as fast as that. I was kind of slow and lazy. That's the benefit of being in defense. So we kind of portion off with the different groups. I'm with my buddies, Ted and Muhammad, and we're all defense. We're running a bit slower. So the sprinters are all way up there. And in Florida, we used to have these things called orange groves. You don't see them anymore. I grew up in the orange groves. I used to play in the orange groves. My favorite smell in the world is orange blossoms. I love them. They're so fragrant. It tells you it's spring. So, we're going by these orange groves, and I think, why are we running 3 miles? Let's cut through the orange groves and make it 1.5 miles. This is easy. And I tell my buddies, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So we cut through the orange groves. We're going to beat everybody, right? So the first 100 yards, grass, nice and easy. We're like, this is going to be great. Then we get to the actual orange groves. Well, if you know anything about Florida, you know it's not a lot of rock. There's not a lot of clay. It's all sand. Sugar sand. Do you know what sugar sand is? Sugar sand is like some weird trap from Dungeons and Dragons where you run on it, but you don't get anywhere. The sand kind of slides under you. Your feet are sinking in it. So we're running like it's like a dream where you're trying to get somewhere and it's like, and we're running out of breath. The other problem with sugar sand is it fills up your cleats. That's another thing. Our coach made us run in cleats. 3 miles around this thing in cleats. So the cleats are very low and they start filling up with sand. And to the point like it's becoming like sandpaper. It gets in your socks. And so every minute or so, you're having to stop and lean against a tree and pull off your shoes to empty out all the sand. Yeah, my buddy Ted's over there. pulling off his shoe and he steps down into something we have called sand spurs. Now, sand spur, I remember when I was a kid, we used to pick these things and hit each other on the back for fun. They are painful. And so he's in there going, trying to pull sand spurs out of his socks. Meanwhile, Muhammad's leaning against a tree and he decides to just sit down for a moment. He's all out of breath. I'm just gonna sit down. And he sits in a fire ant pile. And so it gets up in it. You know, we wore those little shorts in the 80s for soccer, you know? And he's dancing around, trying to get the ants out while they're all biting him. And Ted's like trying to get the spurs out of it. So eventually we get ourselves together. Get the shoes back on. Muhammad's like still smacking stuff as he's running. And we make it out to the other side to see the sprinters way ahead of us. They've just gone nice and easy on perfect grass around the edge of the road. And we're all exhausted. And we make it back to the playing field where we started. And the coach is standing there. All right, come on in. Good. Gotcha. Vince, Ted, Muhammad, I drove around in my car. Where were you? Coach, no, we did the whole thing. I know what you did. You tried to take a shortcut. Do it again. And he made us run the 3 miles again with his car behind us to make sure we did the whole thing. The lesson being, there are no shortcuts. Do the whole thing the first time right. Thank you.